Contestant number 10, Kate Cushman. The biggest irony. The biggest irony, Kate Cushman.
With all that's been going on in the world these days, I've been feeling a little bit stressed. Not go out and buy 20 pallets of toilet paper stressed, but worried about my health and the health of those that I love. I even feel a little panic when somebody coughs or sneezes near me. Is anyone else feeling that way? Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and friends watching from afar, is there someone that you call when you start to panic? Who is it? For me, at age 40, I am not embarrassed to admit that I call my mom. She is always there for me. These days, she answers the phone with articles about health and wellness. She sends me emails with activities to do with the kids. I can always rely on her. Growing up, she was the more emotional between her and my dad, and protective. Okay, I thought that she was a little overprotective and strict. In fact, I remember thinking someday when I was a mom, I wouldn't be as strict as I thought she was. She and I would argue about the things that I'd want to do, and I'd furrow my brow and plead my case. And then she'd say things like, "Don't you take me, young lady, and don't be fresh." When I was a teenager, I didn't really turn to her at all for advice. And sometimes I would spend more time trying to show her I didn't need her than actually getting her help. But oh, how the tables have turned on me. It was a few months ago, before shelter in place, that it happened. I was playing mom taxi to my 12-year-old daughter, Abby. I picked up her and some of her friends after a school dance. And when we were down to the final passenger, Amelia, my darling Abby looks at me with the sweetest preteen eyes in her sweetest preteen voice and says, "Mom, is it okay if I go to Amelia's after and spend the night?" And then, as if reading cue cards from the back seat, Amelia chimes in and she says, "Yes, can Abby please come over? Kennedy's coming and a few other friends, but my mom will be home at midnight." Did my daughter and her friend just ask to have an unsupervised after party? I didn't want the girls to hear how uncomfortable I was with this, so I say in my coolest mom voice, "Sorry girls, not tonight, but I'll call Amelia's mom for another supervised sleepover." As you can imagine, this did not go over very well. And the more they pleaded, the less sweet their voices were. And the more I had to say no, the less cool I was sounding. When we dropped Amelia off, my darling Abby, who, by the way, was glued to my side the first 7 years of her life and told everyone she wanted to be just like her mama when she grew up, is now sitting, furrowing her brow, slumped in the passenger seat. You just don't want me to have any fun. Has anyone here survived raising a preteen girl? You might know how this goes. I first make the mistake of trying to rationalize with her why it is not okay for a bunch of 12-year-olds to party unsupervised. But she just sat, going on about how much better Kennedy's mom because Kennedy got to go. Next, she uttered those 4 little words that every teenager on planet Earth has said. "You just don't understand." And then I snapped. As if possessed by the tough love mothers before me, I look at her and I said, "Don't you give me that look, young lady, and don't be fresh." I realized in that moment, I had become my mother. Of course, I understood how Abby felt. There were so many things I wanted to do as a teenager that my mom wouldn't let me do. Like when I couldn't go to the Christmas ball because I got a D in economics, or when they wouldn't let me drive my friends to the mall when I got my license. There was even this one time on the last day of school, my friend Meredith was having a party. Her friends were in Mexico. It was totally unsupervised. I get it. I get it because I have become my mother. And I realize now that when my mom was saying no to some of the things I wanted to do, she was really saying yes to decisions that were better for me. And that's all I'm trying to do for my family. You know what the biggest irony is of turning into the person that you thought you'd be nothing like? It's realizing that turning into your mother is a good thing. My mom was right about so much. She was right about the parties I shouldn't go to, the kids I shouldn't be driving around, the importance of grades, of vegetables, of washing my hands. She was right. Thank goodness that we have had people to raise us, to set boundaries for those that are looking up to us. Now when I see Abby furrow her brow at me, I wear it like a badge of honor because I know I'm doing something right. So thank you, Ma, for everything. Thank you, moms and dads, aunts and uncles, grandparents, teachers, mentors. Thank you for raising us to understand boundaries. Thank you for being tough with us so that we could be tough, for loving us so we know how to love, and for being there for us when we need you the most, whether it's for a pandemic, a dilemma, or just a day that ends in Y. I'm so grateful that it didn't take a global shutdown for me to realize how lucky I am to have my mom. But my friends, I hope during this time, you're using the events to be reminded of how lucky you are to have the person that you turn to, the person that gave you lessons in your life to take care of those who are looking up to you right now. Mr. Toastmaster.